People have been discussing what the future could hold for outfielder Jacob Young, and I'm here to tell you, at this point in time, I'm not ready to commit to the center fielder.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. That is fine with me. A little bit later on in today's show, should Nasim Nunez play more? The Nationals utility guy they got in the Rule 5 draft this last offseason, he actually had some decent offensive numbers on the year in very limited opportunities, but should he play more? We'll discuss that and kind of get into that in the third segment of today's show. Second segment, it is a Monday. You know what that means. It is a Nationals Stock Report Monday. Who has been up and who has been down? We'll get into that in the second segment of today's show. And of course, Patrick Corbin was thrown to the Wolves in yesterday's game, as Davey Martinez said, you're going to throw 100 pitches after the doubleheader on Saturday. And Davey Martinez, he's a man of his word. He threw Patrick Corbin out there, and we all know what happened next. So let's get into that a little bit later on this segment. But what is the future of center fielder Jacob Young? And is he a big part of this future here in DC? Well, we'll tackle that. But now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So Jacob Young should not be a starting center fielder for this team on a contending postseason baseball club. He should not be. And the reason why I say that is if you're an everydayer out there, then you already may know this. But I prioritize offense. I always have, and I always will, quite frankly. Especially coming from a premier offensive position in center field. If you look around the really good baseball teams, all of them have Jacob Youngs. But the difference is Jacob Young isn't going to be your starting center fielder every single day, let alone your right fielder or your left fielder. Jacob Young is a very, very good fourth outfielder. Can't we all just agree on that? I don't want him in the starting lineup for your next Nats postseason team. Now, there is a chance that he is, because again, this is a 7th-round pick out of the University of Florida that was developed right here in our own ball club. But I'm not ready to commit to him. And I don't think you should be either. Because coming from such a premier offensive position in a National League that is loaded, by the way, with center fielders, you can find better, and you should find better. I don't know what the Nationals will do to kind of fill this, but here's the case kind of against this, because Jacob Young actually has been good. And if his numbers look the way that they have since August 1st, then we can have a discussion about him being an everyday center fielder. Since August 1st, he's batting .279. He's got a .319 OBP, a .405 slug, and a .725 OPS. In that time as well, he's got multiple home runs. He's got 12 RBIs, 3 walks, and 8 doubles. Jacob Young is going through a very productive stretch here. And with him having a .725 OPS in that time frame, if he were to consistently do that, then I would be okay with Jacob Young being your starting center fielder, because he is that good in center field. We all know the numbers defensively. Jacob Young should and probably will win the Gold Glove in center field for National Leaguers. And that's the way that it should be, by the way. He has been stellar out there. He covers ground the way that no one else does in the National League. He makes every single play. He's got a good arm out there. Jacob Young has done everything right in center field. But my big question, and what should be yours as well, is what he does offensively. At this point in time, I'm not ready to marry that. I just can't. And I don't think you can either, because you can find better someone who may not be as good defensively, in fact, will not be as good defensively, but will be much better offensively, and that is where the Nationals really need help at right now. These are going to be the tough decisions down the line. But of course, he's not going to do enough damage offensively for me at this point in time to say, sign me up for him to be the center field. I just can't at this point. I don't know really what would change, but again, I will admit to this fact. If he can carry on a 725 OPS, that's enough for me. It is. Because he hasn't been doing all too much offensively, but still, when he's on the base path, he's a smart base runner relatively most of the time. He's had some mistakes here and there. But also, the defense is that good. But what I truly believe, if you were to kind of tell me or ask me this, Ryan, what will Jacob Young be? I would tell you he's a fourth outfielder, even on a good baseball team. That's just what the numbers tell me. I think back to kind of Michael A. Taylor a little bit here. Michael A. Taylor, early on in his career, showed a ton of flash, a ton of potential. Someone who could be an everyday center fielder. Someone who has won a Gold Glove. Someone who had power. Jacob Young does not have that. I think that's kind of why the Nationals really tried it out with Michael A. It was because he did have potential at the plate. It just never really clicked all at one time. I think we're in the same boat sitting here today in 2024 with Jacob Young. The Nationals are going to give him a lot of leash because of how good he is in center field and how well he can roam that outfield. But at this point in time, you can't really go into next season saying, Jacob Young's going to be our center fielder, and I'm 100% confident with that. Now, at the end of the day, I do believe the Nationals will do that because he's going to win a Gold Glove. But also, there's possibilities here. On Friday's episode, we talked about trades and what it could look like. Jacob Young could be a pretty decent trade acquisition for another baseball team thinking we might need some center field help. We think Jacob Young could do a little bit more. In winning a Gold Glove, you would get something back in return that would be pretty decent. The Nationals, in my opinion, they should go after some trade market guys, whether it be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Obviously, he can't help in the outfield, but still, we need damage offensively. But also another free agent guy who I think the Nationals could very much be in the market for is Anthony Santander from the Baltimore Orioles. They're not going to bring him back. At least I don't think. That would be someone, in my opinion, where you move him into right field or left. You have Cruz in center field. And you have James Wood and wherever else those positions aren't filled. That would be my huge kind of get this offseason. And I love Jacob Young. He's scrappy. He's a good baseball player. But I don't want him being an everyday kind of guy in my lineup. So that is where I stand on Jacob Young in that discussion. But let's get into Patrick Corbin real quick because I just thought this was pretty wildly funny. Davey Martinez after the doubleheader on Saturday, which, by the way, great comeback win. Nationals really kind of shown up the scrappy Nats that we have seen over the last year and a half. Davey Martinez, though, said, Patrick Corbin's going to go 100 pitches. Well, he did in Sunday's game. In that first inning, gave up 4 runs. You know, typically for any other starting pitcher, it's like, okay, well, he'll get 3 pitches or 3 innings, and that's it. No, he went 102 pitches, 69 strikes. He got rocked around, and the Nationals lost that game. These are the moments where we will remember Patrick Corbin and kind of think like, man, what a contract that was. I've never seen a manager go out there and be like, well, he's going to throw 100 pitches basically no matter what. And that's what we're going to do. The Nationals know where they stand on with Patrick Corbin. And quite frankly, Patrick Corbin knows where he stands in this rotation as well. He's going out there. He knows he's going to get bloodied up. He knows he's going to get beaten down. But he goes out there every 5 days, and the guy just wears it. Davey Martinez even literally admitted to that fact by saying he's going to go 100 pitches. Now, obviously, he's probably thinking maybe he goes out there because Patrick Corbin has actually looked relatively decent here recently compared to what we're used to seeing. But man, that was a tough watch. Just watching Patrick Corbin go out there and doing what he does, unfortunately. So that was quite funny. But fortunately for the Nats, there is some good. And we do have a Nats stock report here where we can tell you your latest individual performances for your Washington Nationals. So let's get into it. But before we get into a Nats stock report, let me tell you guys about some of our very good friends over at FanDuel. And of course, you guys know the drill with FanDuel already. You've already heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because, well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. And if that's not enough, FanDuel has also something special for our listeners this weekend. Be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app and use it for FanDuel's double your winnings for all Sundays pre-money line bets. Profit Boost will be live starting this weekend. So, of course, all you have to do is visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Again, visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So now it is time for a Nationals stock report. Who has been up and who has been down? Stock up for one of the Nationals trade deadline acquisitions from this last trade deadline, Andres Chaparro. At this point in time, Andres Chaparro is really reminding me back in the day when the Nationals traded for Michael Morse. The Nationals got Michael Morse, and we all knew that he had talent. We all knew that he killed the ball down in the minors. But Andres Chaparro is actually doing this at the big league level. So far through his first 23 games in the majors, 86 at-bats, he's got 4 home runs, he's got 9 doubles, he's got an .812 OPS. But one of the things that really sticks out with Chaparro is this guy actually has an aggressive swing. When he goes up to the plate, you expect damage. And that is what he does. Again, 13 extra base hits on the season so far, an .812 OPS, a .500 slug. This guy kind of reminds me of Michael Morse from the early 2010s. And I don't think that's too crazy to think about either. Andres Chaparro, he's here to eat your lunch and do damage on the base. Not the base path, but he's here to do damage at the plate. And that is what the Nationals need. That is what the doctor ordered at this year's deadline. So in their mid-20s, under team control for quite some time, Andres Chaparro has been a pretty decent, pleasant surprise for us so far. I was not really expecting all too much from Chaparro, but here we are, and this guy is doing damage. And when he hits the ball hard, it sounds different off the bat. And there's no analytical approach to that. But when you hear it, when you're there for batting practice, like I've been for a few times, see him live and in person, when you see it over at Nationals Park, when you hear it on the TV, it sounds different. This guy does have real raw power, and you're seeing it on display here in these games over the last stretch of the season. So stock up for Andres Chaparro, as he has been pretty damn good for the Nationals so far. Stock down for your star shortstop, C.J. Abrams, and the struggle bus continues for the kid. Over his last 6 games, over really the beginning of September, he is batting .125, a .120 OBP, a .250 slug. That is a .370 OPS. He's only got 3 hits. His only extra base hit is that home run that he hit to lead off the game against Jared Jones and the Pittsburgh Pirates yesterday. But at this point in time, CJ Abrams, yes, he is struggling with his back issues. We do know about that. But CJ Abrams has just been a shell of himself since the All-Star break. Overall, big picture here, I'm not concerned about what he is. I still believe in the fact that this guy is going to be your everyday shortstop. He's going to be your all-star kind of guy moving forward. And I still believe in everything that we've talked about with CJ Abrams in 2024. But consistency is still an issue, especially at the plate. Who do we blame? Some people would say Darnell Coles. I think that's a little bit of a cop-out, but consistency has been an issue with Nationals offensively. Darnell Coles is your hitting coach. And by the way, he's going to be returning for next season. David Martinez and the Nationals announced that just about a month ago. So we'll see what the Nats do ultimately with their coaching staff. But CJ Abrams, the inconsistency really over 2024, it's still here. But good news for us, he's still 23. He's still developing. He's still a little puppy in baseball. So stock down for CJ Abrams. But with that said, someone who is also a very inconsistent younger piece to this Nationals team, we have a stock up for Keibert Ruiz. Keibert over the last 7 games, batting .375, a .429 OBP, a .667 slug, and a .1095 OPS. He's got a home run, 3 RBIs. He only has 3 strikeouts. He's got 4 doubles as well over his last 7 games. Keibert Ruiz is someone that the same exact boat as CJ Abrams. We talk about this all the time. Inconsistency. He has been at the forefront of that since day one when he got here. His first full season in 2022, you saw the inconsistency shine. Last year, you saw it as well. He would have months where he's killing the baseball, and then you have a month where he's batting 120 with a 300 slug. But Keibert Ruiz is now on that upswing where he's a little hot. He's starting to get it on fire at the plate. And his season numbers are starting to look a lot better from what they once were. So stock up for Keibert Ruiz. And with the stock up comes a stock down. And as for one of the Nationals, again, one of their better starting pitchers in 2024, Jake Irvin. Jake Irvin, over his last 7 starts, really since the beginning of August as well, he's got 37 2/3 innings pitched, 49 hits, 30 earned runs, only 29 Ks, 13 walks, and hear this out, 9 home runs over his last 7 starts as well, and a 7.17 ERA. His season total is now at a 4.28 on the season. I'm old enough to remember when Jake Irvin had a low 3s ERA. We were talking about an all-star game. And I think this kind of goes to show you the lack of experience on this Nationals team. This is what you get. A lot of inconsistencies. And this is a good thing because this is a learning curve for this young Nationals team, and it includes Jake Irvin in this scenario. Jake Irvin, I still believe, has the talent to be a middle rotation guy for a good Nationals team. But it's going to take a while. And also, he's going to be going past his season innings total for really his entire career here. And Jake Irvin is one of those guys where he should be spaced out in a 6-man rotation starting yesterday. And a lot of these Nationals guys, by the way, that's just the way that it should be. I don't understand why the Nationals have not gone that way yet, but I do expect them to do that at some point here soon. So a stock down for Jake Irvin. With a stock down, we finish always on a stock up for Nationals Rule 5 pick, Nasim Nunez. Over his last 14 at-bats, you might be thinking, 14 at-bats? That is absurd. Well, this is really all this guy has at this point. He doesn't really play that much. And that's all the way through August 1st through now. He's 14 at-bats. He's got 7 hits. He's got a double, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. He's batting .500, a .588 OBP, a .571 slug, and an 1160 OPS. Nasim Nunez has been good in his limited opportunities. But don't get this part twisted. There are limited opportunities for a reason. And I've seen a lot of people discussing Should Nasim Nunez be playing more than what he is right now? Well, there's a discussion to be had. So, should he play more? I'll get into that. But before that, I'm going to tell you guys about some of our very good friends over at eBay Motors. And of course, there's passion, drive, and patience, which is the formula for winning championships. And it is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance: superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. And with all the parts you need at the price you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Now we get back into it and attack this question. Should Nasim Nunez play more? No, he should not. Yes, he has been good in limited opportunities. Very limited opportunities. But similar to Jacob Young, Nasim Nunez is stout defensively. And that is what you want. That is what you expect from a Rule 5 player. But he is not an everyday player. He should not be in the middle of your lineup. He should not be in your middle infield every single day. But having him come off the bench and play solid defensively and maybe lay down a bunt, pinch run here and there, that is what you need. And that is what you expect from a Rule 5 player. Nasim Nunez, again, we're always kind of make comparisons here on Locked On Nationals to former Nationals in years past. Nasim Nunez kind of reminds me of a Wilmer Difo. Wilmer Difo was never going to be an everyday player. The Nationals, I think, without admitting it, they probably tried to do that here and there, but I think Difo probably was a little bit better at the plate overall. But Nasim Nunez is still a young piece, someone that the Nationals can kind of look forward to coming off the bench. But Nasim Nunez, in all realness, he would be down in the minors if it weren't for the Rule 5 kind of way that the Nationals and the way that Major League Baseball does this. Nasim Nunez will likely start the season next year in AAA, kind of see what he does in AAA, see what he does against pitching every single day. He'll be your starting shortstop there. And I think that is what the Nationals' plan is for him moving forward. And that is not a bad thing, by the way. He can do that every single day and still be a solid contributor down the line. But it's not going to be as a starter. I have not seen enough to say this guy should be an everydayer. This guy should be in your starting lineup, starting at second base or shortstop or hell, even third base. Because he's likely not going to get it done at the plate. And that is just what I've seen so far. But again, he is interesting nonetheless. And in his limited opportunities, he's been good. So I'll give it to him there. But thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Today was a quick episode, but of course, you can tell, a little bit under the weather with this throat. And the Nationals luckily have a day off, so we'll see what the Nats do moving forward, see what they can do tomorrow. We'll have that series preview on Tuesday's show. So have a good one. Go Nats. Enjoy the day off.